Welcome back to the Casting Cost CEDH podcast. I'm Blake.
And I'm Chase, and today we're going to be reviewing the top 16 from the Land Go 10K.
I think that was fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe fumbled over my words a little bit, but I do that. It's all good. But yeah, today we are going to actually do something a little bit different. We're actually going to be reviewing the top 16 from one of the most recent 10K events at the Land Go event in Nashville, Tennessee. Now, as close as we are to it, we did not participate in the event, but we thought it'd be fun to kind of cover like the top 16 and see some of the interesting decks that made the top cuts.
Yeah. Now, how many people were actually at this tournament?
So we had a total of 269 players over the course of 2 days. Yeah. So that's pretty good. Like all these 10Ks and whatnot that have been popping up and trying to, it's almost like they're competing to see who could have the most. I don't know. Has there been an event that's broken 300 players? I feel like most of them are around like this 250, 275 range.
I think that's right. I can't think of any. Did the Boyle?
I don't know. I don't even know if the Heisenberg did or not, but either way, like we're starting to see even at the 10K level, like, you know, or I think someone commented the other day about like 20K events even popping up, like, which I think is absolutely nuts. But like, it just goes to show how many people are really wanting to push this format and wanting to be competitive with it. So that's awesome that they were able to put on an event, have, you know, almost 300 people almost in our backyard, and we didn't even go to it. So
yeah, we'll have to fix that for the next one.
Yeah, so it is what it is. So let's go on ahead, and you'll have to forgive me. We are from Kentucky. We're probably going to butcher some names on this, but let's start with number 16. This is Justin Nesteruk on Lumra, Bellow of the Woods.
I was saying, mine's in live mode. Yours is in dark mode.
Yeah, but I'm signed into the account where you can change the settings.
Am I fucking signed in?
My God.
We'll fix it. We'll fix it. I swear we'll fix it.
You have to go to your... Got to teach them how to work box fill here. Go into your settings.
Where?
Go... account settings, yeah.
Thanks, Grandpa.
User preferences.
I am the grandpa.
Dark mode.
Hell yeah.
There you go.
Go hit save.
Save settings.
Fuck yeah.
There you go.
Welcome back to it. No, I'm just
You're leaving that in. I'm teaching you how to use all this shit. All right. So at 16, we do have this Lumra deck. So for those of you that might not be familiar with what Lumra does, Lumra is a 6-drop star power and toughness elemental bear with vigilance and reach, and its power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. Whenever it enters, mill 4 cards, then return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. So I don't have a whole lot of experience against playing against Lumra. I know that you have, but I know someone the other day in our comments on some of our recent videos was talking about this deck as far as like it and Rogthras like being like 2 prominent land decks at the moment. And that's pretty much the extent that I know of, like as far as you're probably like looping some things through your graveyard or something like that. But you have more experience actually looking at this deck. So help us break this down.
Yeah, no, dude, I almost lost to this deck in a tournament. Which the strat was basically like Lumra will obviously die if you don't have any lands on board. So they had ways to sacrifice their lands to gain them life, which it's the artifact. I don't know why I can't think of the actual artifact's name off the top of my head. Zernor, yep. So you would sack a land to start gaining life. And then what you were doing is like as your lands were coming in, you were tapping your lands down to make mana. And then Lumra was, the deck's just chock full of lands. So then Lumra was basically milling a ton of land cards. And then you would put all of the land cards back into play. But then what would happen is there were lands that were basically allowing you to deal damage to people each time they would enter. So you were kind of just creating this like repeated loop.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it was getting pretty nutty.
Yeah, no, and I like that. And Jesus Christ plays 52 lands.
Yeah,
that's insane. But I think it's kind of cool. Like, I think that especially since you're playing things like burgeoning exploration, the mana bond, like in your enchantment packages here, yeah, right there, a spelunking, like things like that, to be able to dump some of those lands. One line that I'm familiar with, just kind of briefly looking at this, and again, I don't have a lot of experience playing this deck or playing against it, is actually the 6 line, where you're playing 6, the Life from the Loam and LED, to generate like infinite mana that way and start milling through your deck. And then if you need to like pitch land, like get lands in your hand, pitch them to be able to cast things from your graveyard with the retraceability, like that presents a lot of really interesting loops. But yeah, other than that, it looks like we're just trying to play like a bunch of land stuff. We have a Shia in the 99. That's pretty cool. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know much about this deck because I've never played against it, but it seems interesting. It definitely seems like probably the best mono green deck that we currently have in the format. So I think it's kind of cool that this placed in the top 16. So you have anything on this one?
Nope.
Nope.
That's pretty much
All
it.
right. Other than that, congratulations to Justin for placing 16th with Lumra. All right, so in 15th place, we have Jacob L. Sorry, that's all it gives me on EDH Top 16, so I don't have a last name. But in 15th place, we have Kalia of the Vast. So this is one that we don't typically see a whole lot, I feel like, in cEDH. But I mean, it's a pretty classic commander within the format itself. So it's kind of cool that we're seeing this.
It looks like they got some really neat like Razaketh lines. Hoarding Brood Lord, some Dualcaster Mage. Honestly, it just looks like a really good...
Yeah. From what I'm kind of looking at, it's like you're not playing like a tribal thing like you are to some extent, but you're just playing a lot of the value stuff, like between the Ancient Copper Dragon, the Razaketh, the Villis, the Hoarding Brood Lord, like you're talking about, like just trying to utilize more of those value engines that play along with Kalia, from what I could tell, and then being able to put like things like Magda in the 99, going through for like a dual caster line if you have to. That seems to be what the main win I feel like is here.
I really like this, like the Doom Whisperer that it's playing, because you can just continue to pay life and surveil, and then just continue to like fill your graveyard up for like breach stuff and things like that.
Oh yeah, it is playing Underworld Breach, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So even though that's pretty standard, I think this is kind of interesting. He's running Static Prison in there. I think that's interesting over playing something like Touch the Spirit Realm or anything like that. But I mean, having a 1-drop enchantment versus channeling it and only being there for a little bit, I think that kind of makes sense.
Well, I think that the Static Prison too, though, it hits like any non-land permanent, whereas like the Touch can only hit like artifacts or creatures. So
fair enough. So, and I think they're actually playing a very interesting line that it's one of your Zer lines, right? With the Children of Corliss.
That's sick.
They're in the 99, so that way you could just add Nas and then sack and then gain all your life back and do what you need to do. So, or same thing with like if you have Necropotence out.
I've literally dug like almost 80 cards deep with Necro and Children on there. So like that's a solid little combo. That's actually really fun. That's cheeky.
Very nice. So yeah, other than that, I there's nothing that really I think stands out to me too much as far as being like, whoa, why is this card in here? So like even I like that Demonic Council is in here where it can actually be used for the non-delirium part of it too. Like it's just very fitting for the deck. The Scheming Symmetry seems to be pretty nice tech, especially if you're running the opposition agents and you just get someone off of that, or get 2 players off of it if the oppo just can't be dealt with. Like that's pretty sweet.
Okay.
But yeah, other than that, seems like a pretty standard Mardu list.
Yeah.
Just utilizing Kalia's ability to get them demons out. All right. Well, I don't have anything else than that. So congratulations to our 15th place Kalia. All right. It looks like in 14th from Chris Voss. That's how I'm going to assume that you pronounce your last name. We actually have Magda here. All right. So we have at least one Magda in our top 16.
Magda with style.
Magda with style. Okay, so I'm hoping that means that we're going to see some like things that are not usually in Magda. From what I can tell so far, I don't know. What are you thinking?
This looks like a Magda list. It just
Pretty
looks
standard.
like a Magda list.
Oh, yep.
They've got the other Magda. Recommend.
All the dwarfs, which you need. That makes sense. I'm looking to see if there's anything that's standing out here to me. The creature package seems pretty standard.
This was the dragon. You remember? Okay, so we talked about this whenever we first talked about Magda on the channel, the Realm Scorcher Hellkite. It looks like they're playing that line where they generate like the infinite treasures, go straight into the dragon, and then just pay the mana to deal 1 damage to any target. So they kind of like burn the table out.
Oh,
that
okay.
way. We've seen lists before that didn't run that, so it looks like they are on that line, which is neat. What was the card? This is the one thing that I am looking for. I don't know if I've seen it yet. What was the card that we got out of Aether Drift set? And we said for sure it's going to be a Magda card.
I know exactly what card you're talking about, and it's not in this list.
Really?
So the Life Crafter
Yes.
engine. Yeah. So maybe it's not as much of a Magda card as we initially thought it was going to be. I know people within our local meta, like that play Magda, were kind of hyped on that card when it first got revealed, but this list is not running it. Now it is running that Stride Hanger Automaton. I mean, that seems okay. You know, I guess you can like start making like infinite Thopters and things like that too to kind of get there. But that's the only like newish card I think that I'm seeing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not seeing anything crazy. Like I said, it just looks like a Magda list.
Yeah, and it seems like it's a list that's kind of going hard into the stacks pieces. Hold up. Nope, I lied. Life Crafter engine is in there because I'm a dummy and I forgot that it is a vehicle. So yeah,
don't feel bad.
It is in there.
I went to the vehicles and passed it up too, so I didn't see it.
So yeah, okay. So then maybe it is really good at Magda, and I'm just blind and didn't notice it. But yeah. So they are on the Life Crafter. They're on the Maskwood Nexus. It looks like they're playing this Burner Rocket, which I think I actually talked about in our set review for it as well. So I think that's kind of cool. And yeah, just all the standard like stacks pieces as well, like the Tangle Wires, the Portal of Phyrexias, Spine of Ish, which I don't think a lot of people are on that one for Magda, but I mean, it seems good as long as you can, you can flash that kind of shit in. The God Pharaoh statue is in there. So yeah.
I like the Disruptor Flute.
Of course you would.
Yeah. Yeah, no, honestly, this is a good list. This looks cool. Congratulations.
Yeah. All right. And we got Ian, I'm going to say Loesch. I hope that is correct. At 13th with Rocco.
I like the name of this list. This is funny too.
What has he got? Table Banners. Fair. I think that's kind of fitting for Rocco. Let's see what seems interesting and standing out about this. I mean, obviously we're gonna have things like the Vivian and the Kiki Jiki lines, making sure. Yep, Birthing Pod's in here. Only on 9 artifacts. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I think this looks pretty tight, looks pretty standard, as far as if we're either trying to do the Kiki Jiki stuff or we're trying to do like Jolly Balloon Man as well, like the Jolly Balloon Man Village Bellringer type things. Now,
I do think it's cool. I did see a Rocco list recently that was off of the Minsc and Boo Planeswalker, so it's cool to see that like this one is choosing to run that rather than the other way around. I seen one where I can't remember what it was. It was running it was like a mono red Planeswalker that generated mana and did some other stuff. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. But no, this is cool.
So here's a card that I've seen a lot of people on, mostly because of the Rogthras deck. So if you go up to the sorceries and this Malevolent Rumble, I've seen a lot more people starting to get on that. I guess just because and it's still kind of fitting within this deck because you're able to create the spawn and generate more mana, so that helps with like dumping things into your Rocco when you need to. I think that the Rogthras deck definitely like abuses this card quite a bit, but it's interesting to see other decks starting to pick it up as well.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. It's probably there's probably like an Eternal Witness like combo there with that, like a loop that you can do just to get every single permanent from your deck into your hand, and then you generate like the colorless mana. I'm sure that there's something that's like, I mean, that actually does make sense. Like if for some reason, I don't know what like that would actually become relevant, but like I said, that is neat. I find that's pretty interesting.
Now, something I don't really like, and that's just because of our history of it on the channel, in the enchantments, they're running Trouble in Pairs.
Oh.
So, yeah. Not a game changer. Not a game changer. But
I mean, I do feel like that this could be at least like somewhat decent in this, like in a cEDH deck whenever you're kind of limited on colors. Like, you know, you don't have access to things like Ristic, Mystic, things like that. So I can see that it would be good. And also, like, it does stop people from doing like those Final Fortune type turns and things like that. So I can understand like why you're running it. I think the moment you get access to like blue or even access to black, I think that this comes out and you immediately start playing the Ristics, Mystics, Necro, things like that. But I can understand in like a Celestia, or not Celestia, a Naya deck. But yeah, other than that, I mean, this, like I said, I mean, same thing. It kind of looks like a typical Rocco list.
Is Academy Rector a creature that normally sees play in Rocco?
I don't know for sure, but that is super fascinating. That card's becoming more and more and more prevalent too.
Well, I mean, the enchantments are just really good. You just made the comment about not having access to blue, but I mean, I guess if you're trying to really ensure that you're hitting the food chain or even survival or something like that and making sure it hits, like, that makes sense why it's in there. I just don't remember if that is a piece that consistently makes it into these decks. But I don't see why it wouldn't be. Like, as soon as you like sack it to a birthing pod, you're able to basically get your Kiki Jiki or your Karmic Guide right away if you have some of your combo pieces already out or whatever you need to do. And then you also get whatever enchantment you want. So I think that's kind of cool. So
yeah, I guess, I mean, it guarantees to get you food chain too. So that's cool. Yeah, it's neat. It's very neat.
All right. That is it on our 13th place Rocco deck. So congrats to Ian. All right. So our next one, it looks like in 12th place, piloted by Sam Valley, we have our first TNT. And I think, spoilers, it might be our only TNT on the list. But let's go ahead and take a look at this.
You're going to know more about this deck than I am, so.
Yeah, so I'm kind of looking at this. I'm looking to see if there's anything that stands out in particular. Now, what it looks like to me is that with this deck, the way the pilot has it constructed, like you have your pretty typical like Devoted Druid, Hazel stuff. You have Thosses, obviously. Kind of scrolling down here. Let me see if there's anything extra. Kind of almost low on the artifact count. The Swift Recon is in there, Training Grounds. Yeah, so I think it's interesting that it's almost like a build for TNT that prioritizes Timna, I feel like, especially with Delny being in the 99. It's not that Delny's a bad thing. It's just whenever I see that, I feel like that's what people typically go for. But it looks like they have a pretty decent combination of being able to, like, with the Training Grounds and things like that, being able to do enough Thrasios activations. I just know in my build, I have a lot more. I'm trying to do a lot more with Thrasios than I am at Timna at times, and pushing more into the mid. But it looks like they're trying to use some of these pieces in their creature stuff to really push the draw engine with Timna.
Are most TNT lists, are they on Birthing Pod?
I don't think so. I would say that Survival for sure. Is he on?
He's on Birthing Pod. If you go to the artifacts.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's probably what it is they have that in there just to make it a little bit more difficult to interact, because at that point, like, basically the only thing that you're going to be able to interact with is either some kind of stifle ability or opposition agent.
Yeah. No, I mean, that makes sense now that I actually think about that.
And even the Derevi's in there, I think. So, like...
Oh, wow, yeah. So you could technically go... Yeah, you could I was just saying you could sack Thrasios to go get a Derevi, and then put another one, go get like the Hazel. So like it just seems like it gives you the opportunity to go like really hard on the Hazel or like other stuff like that.
Well, what it would really get is you would sack the Devoted to the Birthing Pod to get Derevi, and then untap the Birthing Pod, and then sack the Derevi to get the Hazels, and then on ETB be able to make infinite. Yeah,
makes sense.
So that's what that is probably there for. Other than that, it looks like a pretty standard build. I'm kind of looking at the instance here. You know, pretty typical stuff. Not seeing anything out of the ordinary on that. The only thing that I can kind of see that they're not on like a full counter package. It looks like they're not running an offer, but that's really the only one. I think they have every other piece of interaction except for offer.
They're also on Mana Drain.
They're on Mana Drain?
Yep.
That's interesting.
Yep, they're on Mana Drain, and then I also noticed they're not on like a Diabolic Intent or anything like that.
Well, I think they're probably not on Diabolic Intent because it looks like, well...
They have a decent creature package. 24
yeah,
creatures.
they could run Diabolic Intent. That's an interesting choice. Because, I mean, and they're running Neo form, which I know not all lists run it either. But, it obviously plays top 16 is a solid list. I think the Mana Drain is interesting, but I could also see that as a piece of, like, going into your next turn, even if you don't really have anything, you have Thrasios, and you can dump that mana into Thrasios if you had to. But, like... it's just counter target spell, and you get an upside to it. It's not like Arcane Denial where you're giving someone else like card advantage too. Yeah. So I do like it.
Other than that, I think it looks like a really good list. It's really cool.
Yeah, solid list. So congratulations to Sam for 12th place. So at 11th place, this one's interesting. That we've had someone at our local play group play this, and they've recently switched off of it. But seeing this make a top 16 cut might sway them back. But we have Andrew, I'm going to say Dahan, I hope I pronounced that correctly, on Rafine, Scheming Seer.
No, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know anything about what Rafine wants to be running in the 99.
Yeah, I'm not too certain on this. I do think it's interesting, like, kind of looking at this. Like, they're playing Timna in the 99, and it looks like it's a much higher creature package than what most Esper shells are going to be running. Like, so some things that kind of stand out to me with this deck, like Delny stands out to me. The Grim Hireling, so there's probably some kind of Grim Hireling loop, I feel like, within this, because that's typically been like an Angela combo piece. So I think that's interesting. The Malevolent Hermit is really good and just makes it to where you can kind of pop off whenever you do the disturb, like non-creature spells you control can't be countered and shit like that. I guess I'm just trying to look at it because I know that with Rafine itself, like, you're utilizing all the connive triggers and things like Ledger Shredder to really kind of filter through your deck a lot more. So I don't know. It's definitely like I feel like a more aggressive Esper shell. Even playing things in, okay, so this is kind of cool. Like in the instance, playing the Thought Scour, like things to kind of you can mill yourself. Like, so I guess you're just really trying to focus on getting things in the graveyard potential, and then there's like Animate Dead in here.
They had Reanimate.
And the Reanimate, so maybe just ensuring that things are going to the grave and being able to recur them again. This is cool. They're on Doomsday.
Yeah, I did notice the Doomsday.
Now, what would be the Doomsday pile here, though? I mean, I'm sure it's just something with Thassa's, right?
Probably, and then you just attack with Rafine, and then Rafine gives you the connives.
Yeah, so you attack to get the connive, you pop the Doomsday pile. And I mean, at this point, like if you have enough on board, you are probably hitting that the Devotion to blue to ensure that your devotion's higher than whatever you have left.
And then they're on Teferi's Ageless Insight.
I was just looking at that. I think that's kind of cool. So it's like really aggressive. It looks like it's like just trying to really aggressively like filter through the deck through either a lot of draw or like discard type effects. Like it's running Labman too.
Yeah.
And just being able to,
Yeah, I do think it's fine. It's even running Toxtrol.
It is?
Right here.
Oh, it is running Toxtrol. Wow. Yeah. Okay. So it's like a really aggressive like Esper shell that's like trying to filter through all your cards while playing pieces like that to kind of control the board without it necessarily being a stacks deck.
This is a neat list.
A neat list. It's definitely pretty cool. Like you don't see this commander a lot, especially since like right now, I still feel like Tivit's pretty strong. It's not as strong as it was at the beginning of the year, but like where people are like where Gold Sabertooth is doing like phenomenal with Marnius and like some other people are hopping on that list right now just because of how solid it is. It's cool to see a different Esper commander place top 16. But yeah, so that is our 11th place. Congratulations, Andrew, for placing. But this is our first like really top 5 commander that we're seeing. So in 10th place, we have Tyler Henderson on Kennen Bonder Prodigy. Let's see.
This looks exact. Oh.
What?
Drift of Phantasms, or how you say it? I've never seen that.
Yeah, so this is the Drift is definitely an interesting card, but it has been a creature that's been making a lot more appearances in Kennen decks, and that's because you can actually transmute, and I believe you just get the Basalt Monolith.
Gotcha.
So it's really there for the transmutability above anything else. Like you don't really want to hit it off of a flip. But yeah, I think that it running Subtlety though is interesting. Being able, I guess it's like if you're trying to save your own stuff, if you're having to bounce, because I don't feel like that's one you typically see. Like maybe we're starting to see it a little bit more. It's been a while since I've seen like some more updated Kennen list.
Yeah.
Like I knew that the Drift of Phantasms has been played. The Hydroelectric Specimen has been something. This one I think kind of comes in and out a lot of the times for most builds. I'm trying to see if there's anything else in here that just seems off.
What's that?
Hold up. Go back to the creatures. Because there are a couple creatures that are not in here that I just realized. Can you tell me what we aren't seeing? That I feel like most Kennenless run.
Something that we're not seeing that most Kennenless run? This just looks like a typical Kennenless. I don't see.
There's no Wandering Archaic and there's no Void Winnower.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. You're right. I didn't see those.
And so maybe, and I've heard this before, so I'm going to kind of keep scrolling through. Okay, so I feel like part of the reason for that is this is a build that is actually more focused on like the 99 as opposed to just Kennen flips. And sometimes whenever you're in those builds, I think that those cards in particular can kind of turn into dead cards because of how much they actually cost. Like obviously we're going to keep things like Hullbreaker and Tidespout and Nyx Bloom at really, and even Nezahal at really high CMC. But this version of Kennen is actually trying to prioritize what you have in the 99 and being able to like almost play like how the Touristics Zur is. Yeah. That's what this list is trying to do. It just copy a bunch of value engines and go from there.
Yeah. No, everything else looks typical.
All right. Congrats to our 10th place Kennen pilot. All right. Moving on to our 9th place. So we have Dexter Itzikowski.
Yeah.
I think that's, I'm sorry if I'm butchering these names, but I think that's how you pronounce it. And he is actually on a Rogsai here. I like how in the description he has 3 wills and some black magic. That's a good start to it. And he's got the paper tiger right up there, so that's kind of cool.
Time Twister, Wheel of Fortune, Windfallers, 3 wheels of choice.
Yeah, that's fair. That seems pretty good. I'm not seeing anything that like really stands out right away. I feel like
it's on the Demonic Council or whatever.
Yep,
but I mean,
that seems right. Like everything seems pretty pretty good. We're running one. Are we running? Yeah, we're running two. It looks like extra turn effects between the Last Chance and the Final Fortune.
Yeah.
Yep. Really heavy in our sorceries or instances. They are on gifts ungiven. Really trying to turbo things out with the Rain of Filth, it looks like. Looking at, they got the grinding station stuff. They're on all three talismans. All gas, no ass, running 23 lands. Like that, I feel like 24 seems to be like the standard, but hey, that's kind of solid. I think it's interesting that they're on Necro Dominance. So they are really trying to go fast with this deck. I think that's kind of cool. No ley line or anything like that, but still just really trying to go fast. So yeah, on that pretty standard Rogsai list, I feel like. What you laugh about up there?
Just the paper tiger. It's in the sideboard. It's so funny. Okay, congrats.
Congrats to Dexter on his 9th place finish. In 8th place, we have our first blue farm with Isaac. There's no last name listed here, so I can't butcher that. And even in Moxfield, they are just _Isaac _. I think that it's interesting, though, the name of this is Casual Enchantments Tribal.
Read the description.
Maxium Cope engaged. Memes over winning. Yep. And
I like how he's got the Japanese Timnai and Crom.
Well, sometimes reading the card doesn't explain the card, I guess. So
I don't know what either does.
All right. So kind of looking through this, I feel like creature package right away. Nothing stands out as like out of the ordinary to me. They're tripling down on silence effects with the Grand Abolisher, Ranger, and the Voice. I like that they're on the Mockingbird. That's one that I'm not even really on for my blue farm. But like, as you've noticed in one of our recent gameplays, like my blue farm shell is a little bit different. Like I'm running Bergie in the 99. They're running like Professional Facebreaker here, which I think is solid. Like Professional's really good in blue farm shells and even the Grixis shell. So I like that. Man, all these cards are in Japanese, so I don't know what they do. Can't read them. The only one I can make out is this Gamble and the Diabolic Intent in the sorceries. But really, though, aside from that, I think the only thing that kind of is this gifts.
What?
Is this Japanese card?
Looks like it.
Gifts ungiven. It looks like it. Yep. Okay, cool. That's what I thought. So they are on both gifts and intuition. I think it's cool that they're on the Rain of Filth as well. I feel like that might not necessarily be a card you see a lot of times in blue form. But I mean, if you're trying to go really aggressive with this deck, I think it makes sense. I wouldn't say they're looking low on their artifact package. Now, I talk about this in the upcoming deck tech that I'm gonna release, or at least try to. That I think it's interesting that they have Mox Amber in the 99. That's one that I'm not on currently for blue farm, but that's just because I feel like with as low of a creature package as I'm running, and then Timna being a 3-drop, Crom being a 5, like I don't know how often it's going to be turned on. So that's why I opt out of it. And same thing with the Mox Opal. Like I'm more comfortable with like making sure that those are in there if like I have like 14 at least on my artifact count, but they have 12. They're jamming all those pieces. They're just trying to go. And then this, I think this is the real reason why they've decided to name the deck that they have. Like they're on the Steel Enchantment, which I think is really solid in blue farm right now and really good in the format. And I hate to admit that after my first experience with Steel Enchantment and you taking my turn 1 Ristic, but it's really good. I've picked up my copies here recently, and they have copy artifact too. So I'm assuming like they're trying to copy like either some of like things like the One Ring, which they're not even running the One Ring. That's probably the reason why they have it in there. At least I would assume, or just trying to make sure that they're copying some of their other value. Rocks or something.
Do you think the reason they chose not to run the One Ring was because they couldn't find a Japanese printing of it?
Probably. Yeah. And they're on a pretty high land count too. Is that a Forbidden Orchard? Are they running Forbidden Orchard in this?
Maybe.
I'm double checking on that.
I hope not. That card's
They are running a Forbidden Orchard in them. That's interesting. And they're running the City of Traders. I think that I just don't think they're caring about what their opponents do whatsoever. Like they have all the interaction, they have all the gas. That's all they need. They're splashing the white mostly for the silence effects, and they're just jamming. Is what this deck seems to be trying to do. So
Yep.
I think that's pretty cool. So yeah,
It's a good list.
yeah. So congrats to Isaac on his 8th place finish. All right, moving on to 7th place. So now we have another Kennen list. So let's look at this. By what's what?
You said another canon list and the name.
So we have Raven Poplin in 7th place. Shout out to Thymu Alpha there too. So
I don't know why that was just so funny, but I opened it and I read the name, and then you said we have another kid.
yeah, the Lord, yeah. Shout out to actually a fraternity brother, placing top 16. Are we in top 8? Is that what we're? Yeah, 7th place, top 8. So that's pretty cool. Let's see.
Another drift of Phantasm.
Yeah. I know. Do you know how to do the setting where it like can compare and contrast decks or?
No,
I don't know either. So
I didn't even know how to make a dark mode. What are you talking about? I don't ask questions like that.
So wait, was Seedboard in the other list?
Yes.
Okay, I'm making sure. I don't know. I might
No.
be tripping a little bit right now.
This one's on Glenalindra. The other one wasn't.
Yeah, this is so the main like some of the differences I see right away in this one, like definitely running the Glenalindra, running the Spellskite. I don't think that was even in the other one. As I'm thinking about that now, but everything else looks pretty standard right there for a Kennen package. They are on the Ewit here, which I think is another interesting pick, but I think we're starting to see more and more of that card kind of pop up.
Still no colorless creatures.
Yeah, still no Wandering Archaic, still no Void Wanderer. And I bet what a lot of that is, I think that maybe we're just in this part of our meta right now where all the decks are trying to figure out how to go faster. And even though those creatures, like Wandering is not as high as Void Winnower, but like if we're trying to either speed ourselves up, not slow down the games, things like that, those are pieces that are going to do it. So
yeah,
I think trying to take those out seems pretty good. It looks like in our sorceries, the only things that we really have are the Fabricate, the Finale, Green Sun, and Nature's Rhythm. Not saying the Transmute here, but I think that's okay. Let's see.
Is this one still not on offer? No.
No, it's not. It's on Dispel.
It is on Dispel.
Instead.
It's got the Psych Rift.
Yeah, it's got Commandeer in here.
The other one did too.
It's got the Misdirection, which I think is good. So it's more focused on like some of the, it looks like the free interaction pieces with a couple things here and there between like the Sync, Dispel, and I think that's it there. So pretty low on our interaction. A lot of artifacts still. That's good. I don't even think our last one had Springleaf Drum in it. And I could be wrong, but it looks like we had pretty standard rock package. Now, I think the Grim Monolith is like a very interesting piece, but Grim Monolith, it's not bad in Kennen. I think it's just one of those that's kind of hit or miss. On that, everything else looks pretty good there. Now, you were looking over here at this Freed from the Real, which I don't feel like we see a whole lot anymore in Kennen. So let me scroll back up here and see what it's like. It's mostly good combo off with the Bloom Tender, if anything, or like you can combo off with the birds potentially. Then during Vitality. So I mean, I get why it's in there. It's still not a bad piece. It's just one that I feel like a lot of Kennen pilots have moved off of. But then again, if we're trying to find things that's gonna speed up the deck and almost present a win out of nowhere, Freed from the Real might be a piece.
Yeah, I don't know. Why would it be? Why would they? That's really good. I've not seen that in a list from what I can remember in a while. So like, I actually kind of think that's really good.
Yeah.
especially with all the dorks and everything else. I mean, it seems really solid.
Like being able to, I mean, the amount of mana this deck can produce is insane anyway. So, and then like we're kind of doing the same stuff here where we're doing like the Mirror Maid and the copy enchantment and the copy artifact to try and get more value engines on board rather than trying to just do a bunch of cannon flips. And this seems like a good balance. I think you can kind of do this. It seems like it's trying to go both directions at the same time. And I don't think that's a bad thing whenever you're in lower color combinations. Shout out to our Symphonian that placed in top 8 here. I think they were in 7th place. All righty then. So in 6th place, we just have Jay Wood. And we don't have any other name to go off of, but we are on another Rogsai build.
It just looks like Rogsai.
It just looks like Rogsai.
It's the exact same wheel package. Everything looks the exact same in my opinion. I don't think I see anything different. This one's on days. I don't know if the other one was on days.
I don't know if it was either. I think this looks pretty typical Rogsai list. Not a whole lot of difference. Let's look. Still on 23 lands, so maybe that is the new standard for Rogsai. Just gotta go fast. They're on the Necrodominance as well, which some people have kind of been hit or miss on it. Artifact package looks pretty standard. We have 1, 2. Yeah, it only looks like 2 extra turn effects still between Last Chance and Final Fortune. I don't remember seeing a Praetor's Grasp in the other, and I could be wrong, and neither one of our brain cells are capable of actually like setting this up to compare the list because we're just dumb. But I don't remember a Praetor's Grasp being in the other list, so I think that's kind of cool that we're seeing that there just to make sure that we're hitting some kind of win con, even if we're having to steal it from an opponent. You found it. Oh no.
Everything's the same.
It's okay, never mind.
It's the same list.
It's the same list.
Okay.
I'm just not very observant and
all good. Cool.
It's all list. Good. So all right. Yeah.
Well, congrats.
Congrats to Jay Wood, 6th place.
Alrighty.
All right, in 5th place, we have Pigeon Eyes, level 7. On Rog Thras. So let's take a look. This is our first Rog Thras deck that we have in the top 16. Now, is that they already have it changed to the Final Fantasy stuff. So
yeah. Dang, this person got 2nd place at the Fishbowl and 2nd place in Heisenberg.
Oh wow.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
That's awesome. So let's take a look at our creatures. I think this is what we've come to know from the Rog Thras pilots, where we're not running a whole lot of red creatures. It's mostly Simic. We're running like the Biomancers from there. Probably a Training Grounds then too, as we look like either further down or a little bit later in this, just to kind of double up on those type of effects to get more Thrasios activations. Okay. I almost said Thundertrap Trainer just then because of the way it looked in the art for it. But the Thundertrap Trainer I feel like is a card that has actually been really solid in this deck, especially if you pair it with like the Springheart Nantuko. I think that's pretty good. Now, one card that I'm really glad that this list is not running, I can't remember what it is. It's like, I think it's some kind of Dryad or something, but basically the enter the battlefield ability is that the person that controls it picks an artifact or enchantment. They can blow it up, and then you go around the table and everyone can kind of do the same thing, but they cannot target the player that casts that has that creature. I don't like it. It's like almost like a Staxy kind of piece. But I think it just like is a piece that draws a lot of like instant hate. So I'm glad that they're not on this. Looking at their sorceries, pretty much nothing but tutors, except for the Chatterstorm. So just being able to make a bunch of 1/1s after casting a bunch of spells, and then turning them on with like Enduring Vitality. I'm going to assume Cryptolith Rite might be down here too. But all in all, like our red sources being the Deflecting Swat and the Flare of Duplication, it looks like almost a full counter packet. Maybe nope, they're not on offer. They're not on. I don't see a Swan Song. Okay, this is an interesting card that we're looking at right here. So, sudden substitution. Now, I've given Joel shit for this one, but now I guess I can't because it's made it into a top 8 list. So I think this is a very peculiar piece of tech. So we have sudden substitution, exchange control of target non-creature spell and target creature. Then the spell's controller may choose new targets for it, and it's split second. So that's why it's as good as it is. I mean, it is kind of high on its CMC, but in a deck where it's a lands deck that you just don't give a fuck how much mana you're actually producing, that 4 is almost nothing. So it seems like it's going to be a good card. Joel also has tried to run hidden strings, I think, in his build, so I don't expect that to pop up anytime soon, but at least he got it right on that one.
It's the art for the deck.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, and it's in the description too. I mean, I guess it kind of acts as like a pseudo counterspell in a way, but one thing that I'm trying to see is how do they win? The reason I say that is because are they running the brain? Okay, so they're running brain freeze.
You could always just or fairy mastermind too. Just fairy mastermind.
Oh, and like just be able to draw everyone out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. So, and the reason I'm kind of like, how do they really win here is because a lot of the times I've seen this deck, or at least whenever I played against it, they're running like the lightning bolt or gut shot loops, like more so in our local meta. And so I feel like our players spend a lot of time just trying to dig for that and then go off from there. And they don't run the Underworld Breach as far as people in our local go, but I'm glad to see it here. And if they do run Breach, it's more of a value breach than anything else. All right. Congrats to Pigeon Eyes, level 7. Yep, so in 4th place, we're looking at another Rogthrast build from Max Sternberg. Let's see what he's gotten here. Do you want to go ahead and pull up, see if there's any differences? And of course, the person that we're looking at is the Wounded Satellite. So we'll see what kind of differences that they have in here. Was it? Okay, so it looks like Max is on the Song of Creation, which I think has been a really good card that's been popping up here. Just because I feel like there's not a whole lot of red that gets played at times within the Rogthrast build, and I'm just looking at his standard list from this. So I think Song is actually pretty good if we're trying to like not splash a whole lot of red, and it helps really filter down into the deck a lot more. What was the other list on Relic?
No,
no. So like
it wasn't on Relic, and it wasn't on Arcane Signet, and it wasn't on Gemstone.
Interesting. Okay, and I like that Wounded has basics in here as well. Yeah, that's so it looks like kind of the main differences here. It looks like Wounded is on a lot more of an artifact package and trying to dig a little deeper with the Song of Creation.
It looks like the only thing that he's just running regular basics. The dude's running snow-covered basics. I mean,
so pretty much the same there. Yeah, if they're running the Earthcraft lines and things like that, they kind of need it.
He's on Prismatic Vista though, which is interesting.
And that's probably just to ensure that he's hitting his basic lands for the Earthcraft stuff. So I think it's interesting, but I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially since this deck can produce just however much mana it wants to. It seems like using a land slot to just be able to tutor out basic, I don't think seems bad. Mm-hmm. I didn't notice a Spellseeker before it. I don't remember, but I know Spellseeker has been pretty common in most of these decks. So that seems pretty good.
Everything else seems the same.
Yeah, everything else seems pretty much the same. It's obviously he's one of the best that we see consistently at tournaments. So congratulations to Wounded Satellite for your 4th place finish. All right, in third place, we have Dylan Casey on Blue Farm. So I think that's our first Blue Farm. No, it's our second.
Second Blue Farm.
Second Blue Farm that we're seeing. Cool.
Yeah, the other one was the meme Blue Farm.
Was the what?
The meme Blue Farm.
Oh, with the
Japanese
enchantment tribal one. Yeah. So this time we have Dylan on non-green, ye value be upon thee. So let's take a look and see what he's got here.
Yeah, same thing. It just kind of looks like a Blue Farm list, if I'm being real honest.
It just looks like a Blue Farm list.
This one just has Bergie and Darcy. I think everything else is like pretty similar to the other.
I like those though. I agree. I think especially since every deck's kind of a little bit different right now. Well, don't want to say that. Most decks are pretty standard with a little bit of variation. This one, if they're running Darcy and Bergie, it seems like maybe they're trying to be prepared and push a little bit more into the mid to late game with those.
Mm-hmm.
Only seeing one will effect here,
Yep.
which I think is probably fine for Blue Farm. As opposed to Rogsai, I feel like you need more in Rogsai. So I think having just the Wheel of Fortune over like a Windfall or anything else seems pretty good. They're on the Jessica's Wheel, which for me has been a card that I feel like at times has been like hit or miss and something I tend to pull out at times.
Yeah, no Praetor's Grasp or anything like that.
No. Looks like they are on both Gifts and Intuition, which, again, I made that comment earlier. It seems like pilots are kind of hit or miss on the card for the time being, but as far as Gifts in the 99 for Blue Farm, it's a really good card for all other decks right now. So
yeah,
I don't know. I think we will continue to see Intuition and Gifts together.
Yeah. This list, though, I know one difference that I do notice is this one is on Pyroblast and Red Elemental Blast. The other one was just on Red Blast.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's kind of interesting. I mean, maybe that's just because of what they are limited to. But I don't know. Now, I think the other list did not run the One Ring either, so they are still on the One Ring here. Pretty standard Mystic, Necro, Ristic, Smothering Tide, Thunderbolt Breach, not running Still Enchantment. But even in most of my builds for Blue Farm, those have been like the 4 or 5 that I typically go to. I'm doing a little bit more Necropotence than I used to.
Also, notably not running Forbidden Orchard.
Yeah, good.
Agreed. Yeah.
All right, yeah. So pretty typical Blue Farm list that we're going to see, and we'll probably see that again in our next few. So congratulations to Dylan. Now we have Andy Beach in second place with, like I just said, Blue Farm.
Dang. Okay, notably not running quite a few things. So this one is actually on the Praetor's Grasp. On Forbidden Orchard.
Forbidden Orchard and Grinding Station. So that, I feel like that right away kind of tells me like, it almost seems like we're trying to get a little bit more aggressive in the second place version of it by I already forgot his name. I'm sorry, Andy. Like if we're running Grinding Station in the 99, that just seems like we gotta go fast, and it makes sense because the profile picture on Moxfield is Sonic the Hedgehog, so speaks volumes there. But yeah,
this one's not on offer. It's also not on Meme Bet, not on Necro.
Yeah, it kind of seems like, from what I can tell, like if we're running the Praetor's Grasp and maybe like a Deluge or things like that, like again, it's
not even on Valley Floodcaller.
That one's surprising, but we're tripling down on our silence effects. Did the other one do that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I don't know. It seems, to me at least, whenever I look at this list, it's like we're trying to go a little bit faster. It's even pushing more on the artifacts, it seems, because of the Grinding Station and being able to like fuel your breach a little bit more, possibly there. We're on Copy Artifact here. That's interesting, instead of doing the Necropotence.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess if we're trying to copy someone's One Ring for 2 mana, that seems about right.
The other list was notably not on like Dranith or Oppo. This list is on Dranith and Oppo.
So maybe even though they're trying to go faster, it's almost like they're trying to counter more of what's going on in the meta right now and slow everyone else down.
Do you think
with those pieces?
Do you feel like they're trying to go fast just because they have the grinding station?
I don't know. I feel like that's a piece you don't typically see in blue form.
I don't know. I feel like that this list is a little bit more like control-y. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you're ramping with obviously like they've got more talismans and things.
I don't know. Maybe just having Sonic as a profile picture threw me off.
Maybe I don't know. I don't know that it's wanting to go fast. I mean, especially no Necro either. I don't know. Maybe this is just like a very control-y list. I kind of like the grinding station just because it's there. Like you could basically like sacrifice your like wish claws and stuff like that rather than
and that might be what one of the main things there.
But I do understand what you mean as far as like feeding the breach and things like that too. Maybe it's also just there to like fuck up top deck tutors, stuff like that. But I do think it's kind of odd that it's going to run the grinding station, but then no like meme bet.
I don't know if that one's as odd as not, because I feel like a lot of times, like I run meme bet in my build, but it is not usually a finisher. Like it is probably in Rogsai and some of the other decks that can run it. Like and it's really powerful if it resolves. But I feel like most of the time I end up pitching it to Chrome Walks if I'm able to.
No, like, I mean, I definitely get that. But I'm just saying, like, if you could use the grinding station to like jack up somebody's top deck tutor and then just like meme bet into like a win or something like that, maybe
you probably could.
I don't know. I'm just thinking. I just think it's an interesting choice. I don't think Forbidden Orchard's good though. Why? I don't. That's the one card where I don't understand why.
I think that's the reason why I'm thinking like they're trying to go a little bit faster, because they're trying to ensure that they're hitting all their colors. Like they don't care if their opponent actually gets a creature out of it. They just want to make sure that they are getting the whatever color mana they need with no real downside to them.
Interesting.
So that's the only thing I could kind of think of.
But I mean, other than that, looks like a very interesting list.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, for me at least, it feels a little bit different than like what you would mostly see from Blue Farm. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. All right.
Good on you, though.
Yep. Congrats to Andy.
Second place.
Second place. All right. So, this one, I feel like, is really just out of nowhere, right?
No, it's not. It's a good deck.
and one that you've ran 3 times in a row now in our gameplays.
This deck is so fun.
So I don't know how to pronounce your last name. So Kellen, how do you pronounce that?
Quinn.
Quinn?
I don't know. I'm just gonna give a guess. Quinn. Kellen Quinn.
Kellen Quinn. Sorry again. And we have, but I like his Moxville name. We have Hebrew Hercules. That's pretty cool.
Okay.
That's pretty dope. So we have a Dargo Timna list in first place. So this is our first place winner for the Land Go event. Let's see what he's got. Now, this is, like we just said, this is one that you have been playing recently. So as we were looking through this earlier, before we got to this point, you said that there were some interesting picks in this, so I'm going to let you kind of talk about it for a second.
No, I mean, there's a lot of good-looking stuff in here. Everything seems pretty similar. Felia is something that I'm not on, but I think that that's really, really cool. Really, I don't think I'm on Felia. I'd have to check. But everything else seems, as far as like creatures go, everything else seems pretty legit. Seems good. Ruthless Technomancer is a really good like finisher there. Magda's incredible in this list. Same thing. Mayhem Devil. Everything else seems really, really good. This was a card that I'm not on, but I think that this card is just so funny. It's either just like, give me all your creatures, or I'm just going to make I'm going to draw a ton of cards and create a lot of treasures.
Yeah.
And so I just think that that's awesome. And then I feel like with all of the ways to be like sacrificing stuff in this deck, like you could potentially take something pretty good from somebody and then sacrifice it, or like try to turn it into like your own little advantage engine. So I think that that's really, really sick. It is on Molten Dupe, so I mean, still just fantastic. All the good silence effects, everything else seems good. Predator's Grasp is good. Lots of good tutors. Reanimate's good. Burnt Offering, Orm's Chant. Yeah, I mean, everything just looks so good.
Yeah, this thing is packed with as many silence type things as it possibly can. Mm-hmm. I like that as far as its removal package. Like, you can turn the Pyroblast into spot removal if you need to, but you have Path. Is he not running swords? It doesn't look like it. I think that's kind of interesting because I do feel like swords is like one of the best like removal spells we have in the format right now.
Yeah.
But I actually like the include a soul partition in this.
Yeah, it's a good card.
Like it's solid. Like and like you're talking about all the different like sacrifice type effects between literally sacrifice or burnt offering there. We're playing. It looks like Bolas' Citadel lines.
Curse Mirror's amazing in the deck.
Now, he's even playing Portable Hole.
Yeah, you play Portable Hole.
Yeah, okay. Now, I'm not seeing... Now, for running Citadel, I don't see a top in here.
What's up?
I'm not seeing Sensei's top. No, so I guess you don't necessarily... I guess it's just like more of a value Citadel than anything else.
Bombardment's fantastic.
Loops, yeah. There's that damn prison. Trouble in Pairs again.
Trouble in Pairs is garbage, but it's okay.
And I really like the one of Tainted Pact. You know, I like having Tainted Pact in a Mardu build. Like, yeah, you're not trying to like Oracle, but like if you have to dig for an answer or even for 2 mana going into your next turn, like you just want to rip the top card off of your library. There you go.
No, this list just looks solid. This is really, really, really cool. I like this.
I like the Deadpool's in it.
Yeah, Deadpool's solid.
Deadpool is
like Deadpool
cool.
is fun because like same thing, you can filter it. Like there's like cheeky little lines that you can do. So like Ruthless Technomancer, when it ETBs, you're basically like sacking a creature to create treasures. So like there's ways to it plus a Cursed Mirror to like net infinite mana with a Dargo.
Yeah.
And then once you've got the infinite mana, you can basically use the Technomancer to get... So like if Deadpool's already out, use the Technomancer to basically bring back the Deadpool from the grave and then sack it. Each player draws 3 cards. So if you're protected under like your silence effects, that's another like just little way for you to continue to basically draw out everybody at the table.
Oh,
that was actually the loop that I was going to have to do in order to kill y'all with, because Sasha had protection, but it says each other player instead of like target player. Yeah. That was the loop I was going to have to go to. But if I sacked any more of my treasures, I was screwed. But I had the resources to make the infinite mana.
Gotcha.
I just didn't have. I couldn't sack any more treasures, or she would kill me with that stupid blood. So Deadpool is a really, really good card in this deck. But
That's cool.
This deck is sick. Yeah, I love this deck, and I'm glad to. It's kind of funny. I finally played a good deck.
Yeah, you played a better deck for once.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, congrats to Kellen for your first place finish. That's awesome. I think it's cool that even though the top half of this was really kind of saturated with what's heavy and present in our meta, I'm glad that we actually saw like some really interesting decks and then like finish it out with this Timna Dargo that I would almost say just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Based on everything else. But I mean, really though, it seemed like at 6 wins, 2 losses and a draw, you can't even say that just came out of nowhere. Like, yeah, Andy had 1 loss and 5 wins, so I'm assuming he just won that final round, and that's what kind of got him there. But like, that's a really strong performance from a deck that's not running blue and not what we're seeing typically in the meta right now. So that's awesome to see.
I also think it's really interesting to see that he did not have very many draws at all. Like it was just the 1 draw, that was it.
Yeah, but I think that's a good thing. That I think that also shows to the skill level that you're finishing the game. You know, for that many wins. So yeah, that's awesome. Other than that, like I'm kind of just scrolling down and like seeing some interesting things. It looks like there's a lot of CISAs.
There's a Shorekai right here.
There's a Shorekai, you know, a lot of these decks that we didn't cover, but the results are already up. So go check that stuff out for yourself.
Timna Essior.
Oh yeah, that's a Esper pairing, isn't it?
Yes, it is. That's very interesting. There's a Diada. Hey, there's Malcolm Kettis.
There's a blue-white Heliod in here.
Arnius.
Another Lumra. Oh, look at that. We got Bruce Thrass in there.
There we go. Hey, Hedrick.
There's a Brea. Yeah, I did see that one.
Yep.
Oh, look, your favorite in 42nd, Yuriko.
Hey, look at you. Elsha.
We got some
Atala.
There's a couple of Marnius in here too. There's a Luton here and Urza. Wow. So it looks like from what I've seen so far, there's one Thras Yoshimaru in here that I've seen. A couple of different Narsets, not the same. We have one that's like Enlightened Tutor and then the Enlightened Exile. So it looks like it was a tournament that actually had like a pretty good mix of different types of decks. It's just that top 16, it had a lot of double and like even a triple there. So
this is a cool tournament, cool decks, cool lists.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully, as we continue to grow and build the channel and things like that, we eventually get to the point where we start participating in some of these events on a more regular basis. But life happens sometimes, and that's just the way that it is. And we just thought it'd be cool to cover a tournament for once. So if you like that we did this and we're trying to get this out there, let us know if there's any other tournaments you want us to cover, or at least like take a look at some of the decks that are being placed in some of these events. We'd like to hear from you guys what you'd like to see us do a little bit more on the channel. So
I got nothing else to say.
You got nothing else to say?
That's fucking sick. I'm still just happy that Dargo Timna did good. I love it.
Fair enough. So, all right. Well, if you like what we're doing, please like, comment, subscribe, and as always,
go play some CEDH. Wait, so, is this technically a podcast episode? Would I say the Casting Call cEDH podcast?
I mean, we are the Casting Call cEDH podcast.
Okay. They can just be the outro.
So